President Harris' niece, Mina Harris, accused of using her aunt's fame to boost her own personal brand. Well, now White House lawyers reportedly telling her to stop using any products with the VP's name or likeness.
But it appears she is continuing. Peter Schweizer is the president of the Government Accountability Institute. He joins us right now from down in Florida, where it is not freezing cold. Peter, you know, we've heard so much about Hunter Biden over the last year or two, and now the president's brother, Frank, and their connections. And apparently the White House lawyers told the whole family, you can't do it. And yet it looks as what Mina Harris is doing with her merchandise flies in the face of what the lawyers have told the family to stop doing.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And here's the problem. Ultimately, it's the principal, in this case, Vice President Harris or President Biden, that have to lay down the law on their family. They're not going to pay attention to what a lawyer says. And in both instances, both with the Biden and the Harris families, you have this sort of cultural history of this kind of cashing in. And habits are hard to break. And oftentimes political families feel a certain semblance of entitlement to be able to do these sorts of things. So unless you get the President of the United States or the Vice President explicitly calling off their families in public, this behavior is absolutely going to continue.
So she's the author of children's books, including one that has her aunt's name in the title. She has a clothing brand, including sweatshirts printed with some of the phrases that Vice President Harris has said in the past. And, you know, as you mentioned, the White House official said that some of these things are not allowed under existing ethics rules. Here's what Mina Harris had to say to the LA Times, quote, "Since the beginning of the campaign, I have insisted on upholding all legal and ethical standards and will continue to strictly adhere to the ethics rules of the Biden-Harris White House." Question, though, are there any repercussions here if she is to still continue to do this?
No, there aren't. I mean, that's part of the problem. You know, the problem with ethics in Washington, D.C. is that the rules are written by the political figures themselves. And so when she says she's going to uphold the legal and ethical standards as it relates to these areas, those are extremely loose standards. And that's part of the problem. So, no, there are no repercussions. They're going to continue to do this. When Kamala Harris was Attorney General of California, her husband ran a small law firm in Los Angeles. Some of his clients had matters before her office, and there's evidence, some would argue, that they got favorable treatment. So this is not a new area for the Harris family. It didn't impact them negatively before, and unfortunately, I don't think there's any reason for them to change their behavior right now.
Speaking of changing behavior, you're the perfect guy to ask about the Lincoln Project and the nearly $90 million they've raised that we're now learning huge chunks of it, over half of it, went to firms owned by co-founders of the Lincoln Project. 25 million, 20 million. When you add it all up, it's the lion's share of the money that they raised. Yeah. Peter, is this the way Washington, D.C., the swamp operates? Or with the Lincoln Project, is this an extraordinary, even more egregious case?
Well, I think the Lincoln Project is kind of extreme for a number of reasons. One is you've got a small cadre of partners who got the bulk of the cash. I think some estimates are 50 million out of 90 million. But this is a pattern. If you remember, I came on your show last year and talked about how Bernie Sanders had hired his wife to do media buying. These PACs, especially these political action committees that are pouring tens of millions of dollars into media buys, they're black holes. Nobody knows how the money is spent.
That's right.
Nobody knows what media commissions people are earning. And that's part of the inherent problem. So, you know, we know that going into the Lincoln Project, there were a couple of founders that had financial problems. I would dare estimate as of today, they no longer have those financial problems. The Lincoln Project has taken care of that, and they've benefited enormously from participating in it.
Indeed. All right, Peter, thank you very much for joining us on this President's Day from down there in Florida. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.